Hey, we'd like to welcome you in to Your Home Authority with Bryant Heating and Air here on KFOR 1240 and KFOR1240.com. Danny and Reggie both joining us today as always. Gentlemen, I hear, Danny, you're on the recovery mode.
I'm on the recovery. Got a little cold this week. I think I got that flu that's been going around.
Yeah, I tell you, it's just been crazy this year. Everywhere, not just here in Lincoln, but across the country. It's just been pretty widespread. So good to see you made the effort today.
Yeah, I'm here.
Reggie, you seem to be doing a little better.
I'm good.
You're doing all right.
Good, ready to go.
Well, before we get things rolling, of course, one of the things that we've been talking about to start the show the last few weeks is Bryant's Warm Winter Wish. The finalists were selected about a week or so ago. Where is that process at now?
We're going to name our winners on Monday.
Oh, very cool.
We were going to cut off that voting at Thursday, but we've kind of left it up, and we're going to tabulate Monday morning and name those winners. And a couple people are going to feel pretty fortunate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great program, so we look forward to seeing a life change here in the next few days. Well, today's topic is about keeping a house warm, but it's a very unique topic that more households and more people are kind of getting into. It's what's called zoning. And for those that don't know, or maybe they don't watch DIY Network like I do, what is zoning? What are we talking about with that?
Well, zoning is taking, like your basement, your first floor, and if you have a second floor in your house or even a third floor in there, you can take one or two units and use separate pieces of ducts and actually control the temperature in their separate rooms with a thermostat that you can use in those areas. A lot of times builders will want just one unit in a house and have two floors. With a duct system, what we do, we always put a duct system up to that second floor. You could always add a zone damper to that and put in a couple of thermostats, and with some of our wireless thermostats, you could control the temperature separately on the second floor without having that second unit.
So if you don't use the basement or a certain floor a lot and you don't want to keep it heated like during this time of year when you're not going to be there, you can actually regulate that a little bit more and save a little money.
That is correct.
Well, when it comes to a zoning, like putting in a zoning system, how do you know if you need one? Is this a luxury thing, or is this something that some people really want to look at for their homes?
Well, I guess we don't look at it as luxury nowadays with the way equipment is and computers and stuff. It's it's becoming more commonplace all the time. Just take your cars, for instance. A lot of cars have you can control the passenger side and the driver's side for heat or coolness.
Not true.
But some of the applications that for zoning, if you need zoning, if you've got multiple levels of your home, you usually only have one thermostat in a home, and sometimes the difference between the temperatures in those levels could be as much as 8 to 10 degrees.
Well, I was going to say, I know that if you have, let's say, 2 floors and a basement, obviously the basement's always going to be a little cooler. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Right.
But that top floor, depending, could vary greatly compared to the ground floor. And, a lot of people, that's where they sleep, is the top floor. So
That's right. Some other applications, if you've got some rooms that are stuffy, or, if you've got rooms that you don't use, there's no, you got guest room, whatnot, so on, you can shut those off and not heat those. They say that zoning can save as much as 30% off of your utility bills.
Wow. Now that's a big chunk.
Yes, that's substantial.
402-489-1240 is the number. If you have a question about zoning, now the way this is sounding, it sounds like this is more for multi-level homes. What if is zoning possible if, let's say, you have a single level home and you want to keep the north side of the house warmer than the south side?
Yes, you could.
Okay, so it is possible.
Yes, it is. Yes, you could split your house up into different zones, left to right, up and down, to increase your comfort level in those areas. It gives you more control over the rooms that you're going to be in, and you could always set the temperature back in the other areas that you don't want to utilize, especially like when you're sleeping at night. If you don't like it very warm, especially most people like to turn that temperature back, you could turn that back and leave your temperature approximately about the same way in the other area. and enhance that comfort level as far as where you want to sleep at.
Now, this question I'm sure has a few different answers to it, but how many zones can a house be split into?
Well, with our zoning system, we can go up to 8 and on each zoning board. So if you had 2 units and your house was large enough, we could actually go up to 16.
Wow.
It depends on the application. The design is what is really key about that whole scenario. They do give us bypass dampers that we can utilize on zoning, so you can retrofit that into an existing house. But it depends a lot on doing a good analysis on it and seeing what your system is set up like, and then come up with a good battle plan to implement that installation.
So it's possible on a new furnace and also on an existing furnace, just there's a little bit more planning involved.
Yes, that is correct. Yep.
The best application for zoning is if when you're building a new house is just get it planned right away. Get that house zoned from day one. But obviously you can retrofit. But if you're thinking of building a new house, zoning is something you really need to consider doing that house, because some houses have 2 units, and you might even be able to eliminate a system just by zoning. So you got less cost, less maintenance on that equipment.
402-489-1240. Speaking of equipment, this is something we talked about a little bit last week, how a furnace is similar to a vehicle in the sense when you get a vehicle out and you do a lot of highway traveling. The maintenance on the car seems to be just a little less because the car's designed to do that. Now, when you get into town, you stop, go, stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. That's when you see some issues with the vehicle, and a furnace is the same way. We kind of mentioned this a little bit, how a furnace is actually designed where it can go long periods of time, where that blower, you leave that blower on and it's okay. That's kind of how it's designed to run. It's that stop, go where you might have some maintenance issues pop up. With zoning, will that affect the lifespan of the equipment? Does that do anything to the furnace?
It shouldn't hurt the running or the way the furnace operates itself at all. Like Danny was saying, though, if you put it in when you do it at first, our zoning system is set up to where once it's done getting close to satisfying a temperature back over in this other area, it actually senses what these other thermostats are doing out there. And it seems to find out, and we have these modulating dampers, so it'll start to open up if it needs a little bit of heating over in this other area, even if it's not completely calling for heat over there. But it wants to open that damper a little bit to get that airflow back in it. So what it tries to do is when it does shut off, everything is all satisfied. It makes it a sweet situation, because that starting and stopping of your unit is a major issue, and that's what costs you, like the lady that had the trouble with her furnace and it was not running very long. The starting and stopping cost you a lot in your cost of operation.
402-489-1240 is the number. We got to take our first break in the program. When we come back, we'll continue to talk about zoning and how it can benefit your home when we come back to Your Home Authority with Bryant Heating and Air right after this on KFOR. Welcome back to the show, Your Home Authority with Bryant Heating and Air. Danny and Reggie from Bryant are here to answer your questions. 402-489-1240. Doesn't have to be about zoning. If you have a question about your heating or, well, hopefully not your air conditioning system, because why are you using your air conditioner today? I tell you.
Yeah, you didn't need that air conditioner this week.
No, not so much, but plumbing, electrical. But today we're talking about zoning and what that means for you and your home, what the end result is. And again, pretty much every conversation we have, it's all about increasing the efficiency of your home, lowering the operating costs, the utility costs, and remaining probably a little more comfortable than you were beforehand. And one of the questions that a lot of people might wonder are, what are some of the general requirements for zoning? Do I qualify? Can I get it?
Yeah, Chris, what we do is we like to come out first, and we actually, on every job that we do a heat loss and heat gain of the house to begin with, and make sure we've got the right piece of equipment. Then we do an analysis on your duct system inside the house to see if we can do that. As the saying goes, with any amount of money, you can put zoning in. Sometimes you got to weigh it out and see whether or not it's the right move to make at that point in time. but we'll be upfront with you as far as whether we can get it in there or what we would have to do. If you truly wanted it in there, we can give you other ideas how to get it in there.
Are there different types of systems for zoning? I know you guys were kind of talking about a tube blow, or I guess explain what that.
With the two-stage variable speed furnaces with 2 stages of heat, or even our modulating furnace that operates, it works very well either with the zoning, because 70 to probably 80% of the time it's going to stay in low fire. On a 2-stage system, like on a heat pump or air conditioner, it's probably, again, going to stay in that low stage probably 70 to 80% of the time, which in turn saving you money as far as your cost of operation.
Now, last week we talked a little bit about humidifiers and air purification systems. How does that work with a zoning unit? Is that still possible to have those units a part of that?
Yes, that blends right in with all that part of the system. You can tie that right in with the thermostat. It'll totally be automatic, raise and lower the humidity level as it needs compared to what the outdoor temperature is.
Now, will those units be zoned as well, or will they remain on the whole house? Say, for example, maybe the basement gets a little dry sometimes compared to the rest of the house. Is that something that's set up, or how does that work?
What it'll do is if it's calling for humidity, whatever zone is calling for, it will get the humidity. They haven't come up with anything to actually separate each individual room, what that humidity is in there yet. Someday that will probably come around, though.
Oh, I'm sure. Technology the way it is. I mean, we're talking about controlling things with your phone. I mean,
yes.
Sooner or later that'll come up as well. Will zoning work with any system? Like we talked about existing systems, it can work. You got to do that analysis. Newer systems, it's a little easier because you can kind of just design it right into the new home. Well, does it matter? Like if it's an old furnace, say from 1975, will you still be able to do that, or is there a limit where you kind of have to watch the age of the furnace?
Yeah, that far back, yes, you do, and to pay attention to that, because a lot of times, the life expectancy of a furnace on that age back in there is 10 to 15 years. We have to pay attention to that, because I'd hate to put a zoning on there, but you can put zoning on almost anything that you have out there today. If it's just a standard furnace, the only thing we have to make sure of is they have what they call a barometric bypass damper. And if you have one zone calling, you need to unload that somewhere, and that barometric bypass damper will open up if there's too much air pressure in there and only one zone calling, so it can relieve that pressure so you don't have a bunch of air noise coming out of your registers. It's a real key thing to make sure that you get it installed there if you're putting zoning in.
You made mention previously here about heat pumps. With homes that already have heat pumps installed, is zoning still possible?
Yes. You can put it on heat pumps. There isn't anything out there that we can't put zoning on in your standard heating and cooling system.
402-489-1240 is our phone number. And, of course, we usually mention this at the end of the show, but since we are talking about maybe if someone wants to upgrade to a new system or anything like that, the one-year test drive does apply as well.
Yes, it does.
And let people know about that real quick.
Satisfaction guaranteed for 12 months after you purchase the unit from Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. If you're not satisfied with it, or somebody inside our office makes you upset, we'll refund your money 100%.
Now, when you have these different zones, let's say we get a zoning system put into place. Do you have a thermostat set for every zone, or do you have a thermostat set for 8 different zones like you were talking about, and you can control each of those individual zones on that one thermostat?
It just depends on how sophisticated you want to get. We can get down to each individual room, or we can do by layers, the second floor, first floor, and the basement. Or we can go individual rooms if you wanted to.
Wow.
Make it work.
I'm just trying to imagine how one room would be 75 degrees, the next one would be 68, because that's the way you want it.
And you may not want to have that vast a difference as far as temperature, because it makes it harder to try to control that type of temperature when you have 2 separate rooms. Because most of the time your walls in between the rooms themselves are not insulated.
Not insulated very well.
So you got to be careful about a lot of that stuff when we're designing that system for that.
So it can be as complicated or as simplified as you want it.
Yes.
402-489-1240 is our number. We got to take one more final break. When we come back, we'll wrap up our talk about zoning, and we're going to give you a little taste of what's coming up here February 7th through the 10th. If you are someone who really enjoys being in your home and maybe upgrading your home, there's a fun little show coming up. We'll tell you more about that right after this on Your Home Authority with Bryant Heating and Air on KFOR. Final segment of the show, about 4 minutes left in the program. Your Home Authority with Bryant Heating and Air. We're talking about zoning, maybe having one floor of the house a little more comfortable than the other. That's where you spend most of the time. Why waste all that energy heating another part of the house you don't ever use? We're talking a lot of residential here, Reggie, and one question I wanted to ask real quick is, what about commercial business? If we see a lot of commercial growth here in Lincoln, a lot of businesses popping up. Is zoning possible? I could see a lot of different offices thinking, there are people that like comfort levels a little differently, and east side versus west side of the building, depending on the day, might need temperature changes there a little bit. Is that possible with commercial?
Yes, you can do the same thing with commercial, say on the east side of a building, say maybe you've got mainly offices over in there, and on the west side, maybe you have a big bay where everybody's like telemarketing and stuff like that, and different temperatures for different areas, because what may be happening where all the telemarketers are at may need more because it's on the west side of the building, and the sun, once it comes from the east and sets in the west, it starts to baking on that other side. The temperatures will not be the same for the load for each one of them.
I'm going to say, because I know a lot of places, they just put extra units in just to control different parts of the building instead of maybe saving a few bucks here and there and just diversifying a unit to zone.
And that's usually what most places do. They'll just put another unit in trying to take care of it. With zoning, it gives you a lot of different options to try to take care of that.
Well, guys, we try to do a lot in this half hour, talking about some different topics, and unfortunately, we can usually only hit about one topic per weekend, and we'll, of course, do that again next weekend. But coming up on February 7th through the 10th is the home show, where I know Bryant will be out there, and you'll have a booth, and you'll be able to talk with people about, Lord, whatever they want to talk about. And it's a great opportunity for people to come out to learn more about the company and really get a lot of questions answered about any topic.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity, like you say, talk about anything that they've heard on the show, or, we've got equipment out there or whatnot, or some of the products that we've talked about that people can actually look at, see, and ask the different questions. We're probably going to do a few things out there this year. We'll probably be giving away some prizes.
Ooh, that's always nice.
So we'll be doing that. Last year we played a little Husker trivia to win prizes. We'll probably be doing that again this year, a little Husker trivia. We'll have a geothermal display, so maybe if you have any questions on geothermal, you can actually kind of even see what we're talking about. So, and if nothing else, just come up and say hi. The home show is February 7th through the 10th.
Should be a lot of fun. I know, Reggie, you'll be out there for a little bit, I'm sure.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Well, another way that people can win great prizes, and something that we try to do through the show as well, each month they can win prizes by texting.
That's right. They can text Bryant to 58885. Or they can even go to our website, BryantLincoln.com, and click on the little icon and sign up for free prizes each month.
Even on Facebook?
There's information on how to get there.
There you go. Find it out. Go to BryantLincoln.com and learn more about that. Next week, let's talk about something that I've never heard of. And, Reggie, you kind of gave me a quick little brief intro into it. Mini splits. What in the world are they, and what do they do, and how do they work?
Yeah, mini split is just a system that you can use for sunrooms, try to control temperature. It's a good way to do it without having to have a window air conditioner sitting out through there and taking up your window space.
We'll do that again next week. Have a great weekend, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Have a great weekend, everybody. Have a great weekend, everybody.